But we had a lot of great authors in the 60s. We had Carl Rogers, B.F. Skinner, and we had a gentleman named Bernard Lonergan, who was actually a Jesuit priest. And when I studied Bernard Lonergan back in the 60s, believe it or not, I couldn't understand what he was talking about. But he talked about intentional consciousness and conscious intentionality. And that really kind of blew my mind. Is when you talk about being intentionally conscious or conscious intentionality means that I'm aware that I'm picking up my glasses. I'm conscious of my intentionality to put my glasses on. It doesn't mean that I'm half asleep or I'm a sleepwalker, but I'm conscious of my own intentions. That's so far so good. But what is intentional consciousness? Intentional consciousness means that even back in the 60s, and probably before this, Bernard Lonergan and others were talking about the ability to shift your consciousness from being consciously occupied with the past or consciously over preoccupied with the future to consciously focus on the present. And so these great minds, these great thinkers were talking about being intentional about our states of consciousness. And we've gotten away from that. And I would like to think that the current wave of mindfulness is going to bring us back to that. And I have an example. So say, for example, you have a thought and you think to yourself, well, I'm falling behind, I'm losing time during the day, I'm going to be late. That's a thought. And you could hold that thought and become conscious of that thought and say to yourself, mindfully, I have no right to judge that thought that means something about me today. I just assume that since the brain produces 16,000 random thoughts a day, that random thought that I just had is something that I need to associate myself with. You don't need to. There's nothing in the book that says you need to associate yourself with a random thought.